Happy President's Day.
Happy President's Day to you.
Hey.
All right.
Oh,
Welcome back.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? You just got done from a run, huh? We're starting right now.
Yeah, thank you. Oh God, thank you. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go quick do my 35 minutes, and we had an ice storm today, so it just made the footing so bad out here. I mean, and it's dark out, so it's like you're like, is that black ice or is that just the black top? So but yeah, we got a little bit of ice going on here. So
okay, cool. But that's not stopping you at all.
We're fully into the winter here for sure.
German winter. It's killing you.
Yeah, which it's not, where I am, it's not too snowy or anything, but we've had a cold snap this last week and a half, and but obviously nothing like, I mean, some places in the States it's just been record lows, hasn't it?
I guess so. Yeah, it has.
Probably
it's always
not where
record
you are,
lows.
but
It's like every year. It's like,
I know.
This has never been this cold in my life.
Yeah, right. And you're
But
like,
we have
wait a
short
second.
memories.
I swear to God, when I was little, it was like the snow was always like beyond my like chest, but I was also very small. So
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's maybe not snowing as much. Maybe it is. So what was I going to say? Oh, so how old are you again?
Me, I'm 44.
44. Okay, so you're a lot younger than me, but you've been doing this sport a long time, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think about longevity and the accumulated fatigue over the years and years and years? Do you think about that kind of thing? I've been thinking about that a lot lately.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I've been amping up my mileage because I've decided to do 2 races this year. Hopefully there it goes. One is a road half marathon mid-May. And then the other one, I decided to pull the trigger, and I'm going to go and do a 65K trail race in the Austrian Alps at the end of June. And so both, I mean, you got to put the miles in, especially the 65K, and both very different races. And so I've started amping up my run mileage week by week. And you're thinking to yourself, God, why I'm tired. I'm so, you feeling aches and pains where you normally don't feel, but you got to you always go back to, I used to put in this much time and this much mileage, but the body is adapting. And it goes through an ebb and a flow. And I have to remind myself, just like I have to remind the athletes I coach, that your body goes through cycles, and you have to allow it the time to adapt, and it'll come back faster or it'll come back just as strong, but you have to give it the time to adapt. And I always say it like, I try to remind myself, it's kind of like coming off of summer break. Your brain, you haven't really used your brain over the summer. And all of a sudden, the first couple of weeks of school, you're drained. You get home, you're super tired, or you're like, oh my God, my hand hurts from so much writing, or my brain hurts from so much reading and getting back into math and, using your brain. The body, the muscles are the same way. So you have to give yourself the grace to be patient and to just allow the body to adapt in its own certain way. Now, I will say with age, it sometimes takes a little longer to adapt, or you have to, the things you used to get away with, you can't get away with anymore. I have to foam roll like at least 4 times a week, and I try really hard to do it, like try to get into the schedule of doing it before I go to bed, because it also relaxes me. But those little things, those little bitty things are what's going to keep injuries at bay and keep your muscles pliable and all that. So the little things that, were suggested or you should have been doing all along are now crucial.
Yeah, you can get away with them before, but now there's, So
yeah, you could get away with eating crap. You could get away. Well, it's like it's like, going back to like your college days, you could get away with drinking heavily and waking up the next morning and bouncing back. And then you get older and you're like, oh man, I can't do that anymore. So the training is the same way. When you age, things you used to take for granted, you can't anymore.
Are you still riding much, or are you just mainly running?
Yeah, I'm riding 3 days a week. We can't swim yet. There's nothing's open yet here. We are still in lockdown here in Germany, and it doesn't look like anything's going to open until March, maybe March 1st. I think they're allowing like salons to open. They're still talking about schools. My son thankfully has gone back to German school, but he's in a private school. So the actual public schools are still not open. And my daughter's not back at school yet. She's still online. So yeah, they just keep pushing that. So I'm on my bike 3 days a week, and I run pretty much every day. So, yeah, and the riding, it's not like I'm getting ready to do any riding, or triathlons, but the riding balances out the strength component, and it allows me to work on my aerobic base and my strength while also not pounding on the legs. Are you there?
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit, but
did I lose you?
Can you hear? No, I could. I could probably make that out. Question.
Okay.
You said it there that you work on that because you balance out strength and things like that. But do you think in terms of like fast, explosive biking to create faster run muscles? Do you do that sort of thing? Because I've been thinking about that too. It's like, especially in long distance triathlon or like ultras and that sort of thing, we always think about like, I want to be faster runner and everything like that. But is it like at some point, does it make sense to maybe like high cadence? Because when I was mountain biking back in my early days in my 20s and stuff like that, I was mountain biking a lot. And I know for a fact I was my fastest runner at the time. So I think it's a lot of explosive kind of quick twitch sort of climb up this hill.
Well, yeah, think about it. You're using your hip flexor muscles, and developing them to go faster. And you are, I mean, the type of muscle fibers you need to do explosive power, the body doesn't like necessarily, oh God, I'm not running, so I'm not going to get faster. You're still doing something. Now, I'm never going to say that that you shouldn't do speed work with the run. Like, you can't just replace everything with the run, but definitely, it's been fun, like biking and swimming, even like when like you're injured, you go and do the ultra jog, the hydro jogging and stuff in the pool. That's all been found to be extremely helpful and keep maintenance at least maintenance to a runner so that they're ready to come back. And there's a lot of people out there, athletes, that can't do high mileage running, or they can't do high intensity work more than once a week, or they break, that's the kind of makeup they have. So they have to alternate it. And I think it just depends on the person. You have to figure out what kind of athlete you are. If you're somebody that is injury prone, and we all know that the run is what's going to generally injure us the fastest or the most. You have to find out if you are injury prone, you're going to have to, maybe do some of explosive power, or stuff like that in the water or on the bike to at least keep yourself injury free. And there's a lot of like people who have said, I got injured, I was sick, I couldn't run, but I came back and I spent more time on the bike and it saved my legs, and I ended up coming back a stronger runner. So by all means, but I think that also has to do with, you have years, if you have years and years of history and training already locked in the bank, your body doesn't forget that. and it comes back to you, and all those years of all those hours of and miles you've done, they matter. It's not like after a season your body just goes, okay, dump it all out, we have to start from scratch again. It remembers all that strength you gained and all those workouts you've done. So people who are like, oh, I'm injured, or I can't, like right now, like people who are, I can't swim. Yeah, it sucks, but you can still do the other things to still be a great athlete, so that when you can get back into the water and do real like swim training, your engine is at least there.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting point. But yeah, it's obviously you have it in you, but you still have to rebuild up to it, right? Is that what you're getting at? Is like, that's why I always say, I think that's kind of why we always say that it's always better to be undertrained for a race than overtrained, because, especially if you've done them before, and, it's sort of like that, one day or that one weekend that you just kind of like go for it or whatever. It's sort of still in there. It might really hurt, but you can kind of tap it like for a day or two, or if you're not burning too many matches kind of thing. And that's
for sure.
I've seen, like my first half marathon, I ran with a guy who used to run a lot as a kid. He never trained for this half marathon, and he just kind of ran it out. I mean, he was really sore afterwards, but he just had that sort of memory in his muscle.
Well, that, and also the unknown, there's always, it's so, when you don't know the pain that is about to come, ignorance is bliss. And, I say that all the time to people who are, their first time doing an Ironman, first time doing a marathon or whatever, enjoy it, because like, now your body's going to remember and it might put the brakes on, or it might ignite you to be like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I survived. I could do it again, So it all depends on the person and their ability to how they handle pain, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
If I have a theory that if if you give birth and without any pain medication, if you truly, I have a theory that God if he wants you to have another child, he puts his hand over you and you have amnesia, because no one sane would ever go through that pain more than once. So, because you do, once you give birth, you do not, when you hear that child cry, the pain is gone. And you cannot remember, it's painful, but you can't remember that exact pain. And I think that's your body's way of protecting itself. So,
yeah, no, I get that a lot. Yeah. It's sort of I think about my races, and if I really have, thinking about full Ironman, for example, I have no real qualms with the idea of doing one anymore. But like the last few I've done, something hasn't clicked. I haven't really kind of felt like I've improved in training or whatever the case is. And I get through that first loop of that marathon, and I'm always like, why did I do this? I mean, I know I can do it, but it's that pain, and that pain's there, and you just hope it doesn't show up, because you might be better trained or whatever the case is. But then it becomes like, why am I even doing it? Unless you can sort of decide that you just want to do it, and finish it and like be happy with it.
Yeah. Are you talking about the pain, like the mental anguish of it, or actual physical pain?
Well, both, I think, because I know I have another loop to go through, and I'm kind of at this place where it's not really enjoyable anymore. Whereas before, like early on, my first one or my first two was always like sort of like this conquest more than a hold on and survive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think anybody, I can't tell you any race that I've been in that if you're really pushing yourself, you're always going to question, what the hell am I doing? I could be at home hanging out, like, why do I do this to myself? And are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I lost you. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that that's a normal thing because it's your body's way of saying, um, it's a protection mechanism. I mean, our body's number one job is to survive. And when you do things like doing a marathon, doing an Ironman, doing these really arduous, very difficult, physically difficult tasks, the body's saying, wait a second, this isn't why are we doing this? I mean,
Yeah.
is it a fight or a flight? And and it's in a protection mode. Now, the the more you do it within a certain, boundary, the body becomes, more adapted. It's like, oh, okay, I remember. You're not, I tell the kids like that I coach when we do like repeat 400s or repeat 1000s. The first one's always the hardest
Mm-hmm.
because your body's going, oh, I don't want to do this. This hurts. Or, oh, they're doing this to me again. And it remembers that it's going to be painful. But then the second one, the third repeat, the fourth repeat, generally speaking, they get better. They get almost, you become comfortable with the uncomfortable. Your body kind of
Right.
goes, okay, I remember these. That's right. I can survive them. She's done this to me before. Yes, it wasn't fun, but I survived it. And the body remembers. And now if you go out too hard, it generally it will snap back because you pushed it. You went to the well, you pushed it too hard, and you did something you shouldn't have done. And that's where I think certain things can happen to your body that the body will protect itself and you'll never be able to push it to that limit again. And when I say that, I mean like when you go to the well and you get so close to, I hate to be dramatic, but you get so close to almost death. Like if you had somebody who collapses,
Mm-hmm.
heat exhaustion. You seriously put yourself into very, very, you're in danger. My brother, prime example, he did a marathon and he overheated and he collapsed at like mile 19 or 20, and he doesn't remember, and he got carted off to the hospital, and um you know was passed out. And he will now, his body is it once it hits that certain temperature, uh-uh
Mm-hmm.
breaks down, shuts down. And that's the body's way of being very, very smart. My husband's the same way. He's a tanker in the army, and there's been many, many, many times the tank gets extremely hot, and he's been a heat casualty on a number of occasions. So
Uh-huh.
to this day, once it hits like say 88, 90 degrees, he's like, I have to go in the shade because his body actually thinks it's 95 to 100 degrees. So his internal thermostat says, because it's protecting itself. You know what I mean? It's protecting him from ever going to that place ever again. So I think if you are in a position where you're in a race and things like that happen, or you get hypothermia, you get so cold that you can't necessarily, your body won't allow you to go into that arena,
Right.
because it's like, nope, you already you did this before and we almost died, so we're not going to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
So there's obviously, I think, a lot of instances where the body protects itself, but when it comes to like pushing beyond the boundaries and the mind, I think still to this day we could do so much with. And I tell my kids that all the time. It's like, you know, control your body with your mind. Your body will follow. If you tell yourself you can do something, you'll do it. I mean, and that's been proven time and time and time again. Like people who should not have ever been able to do things physically or otherwise, they do it, and you're like, how did you do it? And they're really strong mental people.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree with that. I do think that you can kind of train your body and mind to do that. I've been really digging back into this idea of cold weather and cold water therapy. I've been taking cold showers again, and this
So
guy.
what's the theory behind that?
Well,
Because I've heard that a few times. Some people have, I've heard that on other like uh, podcasts and stuff. So what is the theory on that?
so as far as I understand it, it's sort of like if you think about all your muscles, right? You
Hmm.
and like in triathlon, we repeatedly use the same ones over and over. For example, for the most part, genuinely, unless we're balancing out and cross training. But like if you think in terms of all the little fibers that are connected to twitch the muscle all throughout your body, and there's millions and millions of these things. Sort of like so, cold water exposure supposedly ignites those things. And it's sort of like the whole principle is like, okay, we become soft, right? Like, because we used to survive outside and we'd be in nature and all these types of things. And now, we're inside and we're working on our computer and stuff like that. So we never like use these, full body muscles as much anymore. So they become dormant. So this basically ignites them and creates a better vascular system, your circulation and things like that. So you become more adept at handling anything, if that makes sense. So you get the blood flow into your brain better. You can kind of articulate things better with your body, and you can sort of unlock different parts of the brain with better circulation. And that's really what I think is at the core of it. And of course, he talks about, I'm talking about Wim Hof because I've been into him for quite a while now, and he has a new book out that I'm reading. And it comes with like a lot of deep breath work too, right? So it's like exposing, holding breath, like when you're fully exhaled and things like that to create, a more responsive, is it endocrine system or something? I'm never good at remembering, but and it's sort of interesting because he always talks about he's never been like into the scientific parts of it, although they watch his experiments scientifically, so there's science behind it, but he always went with his intuition. And that's sort of how I kind of roll a lot of times. I just feel like, you go take a cold shower and you tell me if that doesn't give you more electricity and wake you up,
Oh yeah, I'm sure it will. I mean, but you're shivering all day.
But that's the part, is
Your
like he
body's
says, you got to
twitching
get
all
used
day.
to. It's your body trying to work, to warm up. And yeah, it's not the most pleasant.
No, yeah, you're always you're
I'm losing you now.
you're definitely sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay. But yeah, I think it's great to be curious. I mean, question everything is what I tell people. And what works for one person will not necessarily work for another. But you got to figure out, because we are so all just our bodies are so chemically so different that that's what is great, but also extremely frustrating, because there is no cookie cutter answer for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's why I tell people, I said that the great thing about endurance sports, triathlon, is you could do it for, I'm going on, God, 20 years of it, and it still humbles me. I haven't figured it out, and I never will, because our bodies always change. So what I was able to do, or how I was able to train, or do, how much sleep I could get, what I could eat 20 years ago is so different than today. And that's why you're going to continuously have to adapt, and not only your body, but your environment,
Mm-hmm.
where you are in your life, and how much time you have to dedicate to your work, your family, your spouse, anything else that is going on. It's always, and so, you in one part of your life, you may have been able to train because you had very little, you did work and that was it. You could have trained easily 18, 20 hours a week. No problem. It was like your other full-time, other job. And you have kids and a family, and you're like, okay, I'm topped out at 8. well, how am I still going to be a great athlete on 8 hours of 8 hours of training versus 18? You have to adjust and do a completely different training methodology. And that's what's so great about this sport is you're constantly tweaking, constantly figuring out what works best for you. It's frustrating to a lot of people and they get really, really, depressed on it. But I say if you're in this for the long haul and you're dedicated to the process, it's exciting, I think. So
what do you think a secret is as far as like mentally to dialing into the being dedicated to the long haul? I mean,
you got to love it. I think you got to love the process. And I think there's two types of people. You got the people that are, they are in love with racing. They love to race. They love to, I had a friend, rest in peace, but Pat Noble, if he could have raced every single weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, he would have done it. Now, granted, he was also absolutely in love with training every day, but this guy was like his wife, oh my God, she was so funny. She was like, okay, no, you can only race one day a weekend. You have to choose Saturday or Sunday. You cannot do both. But I mean, and he did road racing. He wasn't like a triathlete or anything, but, he was just so in love with the process. And but you have some people who just love to race. I just want to race, but they don't necessarily like to train. And then you have other people who would train all day long, every day, as a full-time job, and are like, yeah, I race because it's kind of what I have to do, or it's the carrot. So I think the secret is definitely you have to be bought in to the process. You have to be in love with it. And I'm not saying every day is easy and I roll out of bed and I'm like, yes, I get to go on the bike today, or I get to go run 10 miles. There's days where the motivation's low and I have tricks of how I get motivated. But at the core of it, I always tell people, very, 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 very few times will I ever finish a workout and think to myself, well, I feel worse than when I started.
Yeah, for sure.
And this has always been something I've loved though too. It's foreign to me to be around, to understand anyone that says, I hate running. And I've met a lot of people who are actual triathletes who are like, oh, I hate running. It's a necessary evil. And even though I am not of the three, the swim is my most difficult, I still really enjoy swimming. But I will say I am extremely intimidated going to a master's group or swimming with others. And I mean, here's somebody who I was a professional. I was a professional for 7 years. To this day, if I were to go to a master's group, I'm intimidated by swimmers. I always have been, because they're just on a different level. It's taken me a long time to feel comfortable and knowing what lane am I supposed to be in? Do I? And because a couple times I've been to a master's group and they've yelled at me. I'm dead serious. I remember I was in Austin.
They yelled one time.
Yes. This. Oh my God, this guy. He was just so. I don't know.
Those are my favorite people.
Not a nice person. He was just a regular guy, and I was in his lane, and I guess I was not fast enough to be in his lane. And I stopped at the wall, and I was like, pass me. And he looked at me, and he goes, you shouldn't even be in this lane. And he took off.
Wow.
And and I thought to myself, I will admit, of swimmers, bikers, and runners, I've always had a difficult time feeling comfortable around swimmers, because I'm just like, they're mean.
They're mean. Swimmers are mean.
Swimmers are mean. Runners were just kind of gangly, goofy people, and bikers are bikers. You're just like okay, if they're gonna take off, they take off. If they're gonna, I know there's you've got your runners that are probably very type A too, and you're definitely your cyclists who are think they rule the world. But oh yeah, I've had to lick my wounds in the pool. So I'll go to the edge. I'll just take my pull buoy and paddles over here, and I'll just go to the end.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think all three sports have, if there's somebody's just a runner or just a cyclist or just a swimmer, I think they all have a little bit of apprehension about triathletes in general. Like,
you're just going to,
because you're a runner though, you can mold in with runners really easy because that's really your kind of background.
That's my background. Yeah, biking's always been really easy for me to get in with, whether it's triathletes or get with a bunch of roadies and stuff.
Unless you show up with a TT bike.
Oh, I know. Don't show up with a TT bike. You'll be exonerated. You'll have to go to your corner. But runners I've always felt really, really comfortable around and stuff. But what the funny thing is that swimmers, I think it's also from what I've felt like is I feel like they're more introverts. And it makes sense because they don't get to talk as much, and they're always staring. They have to concentrate and stare, and they're not getting a chance to really communicate as much as, say, a runner or a cyclist can. Mm-hmm. And so it took me a while to be like, okay, this isn't, this is what they're doing, and they do their kick sets, so that's their opportunity to get to chat, I guess, but. I think, but then once you do get with a group and once you do find your niche and you find, okay, this lane, these are my people, this is the rhythm we're going, you get into it. I can say this too, but runners, we get on the track and you'll have runners who are scrappy and, lane one, get out of my way. And, or hey, you got to do the inside. I remember I was running in college and me and my running buddy, Connie Moronk, she and I would run, and she and I, we always had to be on certain sides of each other. Mm-hmm. And if you started a run and that person was on your right or your left, they had to stay on that side the entire run. Even if you crossed a road or you were going around something, there's neurotic tendencies, I think, in every sport. But I remember that she was my running partner, and she was on one side of me and I was on the other side. It was always that's what fit, and we felt good about. So
yeah, and that's important. I think that's a good way to wrap up too. Is feeling like you fit with somebody, or that helps so much in training.
What I really miss is what we always talk about, and I've been listening to so many podcasts, and with this pandemic, I miss community. I miss community so much because I train by myself outside of every day of the week, except one day of the week.
I like training by myself when I have a community option, but when you don't have an option, then it becomes this sucks, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. You take something away, you're going to want it. Yeah. It's like if you're told you can't eat candy, well, now I want to eat candy. It's that age-old dilemma. But I look forward to my weekend long runs with my one running partner, just to talk. And the time goes by so fast, and it's nice. And I was thinking about that tonight. God, I really miss being around people. And not even competing, but just having somebody else to run with and breaking up the monotony of the mileage and this, that, and the other thing. So I think the key here is, when you said what's the key to longevity, is you got to love it. And if you have people to do it with, that's going to keep you in it longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
I saw that firsthand, you know, at run camp. I hadn't been running nearly like I did. And then I got out there and I just felt like a whole different person being around everybody. And
you're filling your cup up. You know, I call it, you're filling your cup, you're charging your battery. And you're, you know, and it depends on the type of person you are. If you're an extrovert, being around people fills you up. If you're an introvert, being alone fills you up. So you got to balance it out, and you got to realize, well, how much most of us are a bit of both. And I know if I'm around a lot of people, I can get drained really fast. Mm-hmm. So I like being alone, but then if I'm alone too much, then I get lonely. So it's just like, oh God, where is it? So, but yeah, I think that's that.
Okay. I like it.
All right.
Cool. So now what are you going to go do? Go to bed?
No, I got to go feed my family.
Oh, feed the family.
I got to go feed them dinner. No break. And tonight, chicken enchiladas. So it's time to go feed them some Mexican food.
Oh, not strudel or what is it?
Strudel, apple strudel?
Yeah.
It's a dessert, dude.
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut and schnitzel. Yeah.
There you go.
And bratwurst. Okay. So tonight's Mexican night. So
I like it. That sounds good. Awesome. I might make some of that tonight.
Well, it was good talking to you. I miss you guys so much.
I know. Soon, huh? Or someday?
Someday for sure.
We're not going to put a number on it. Just someday soon.
I'm not. Okay. I think it's hilarious. All these people who are thought January 1st is just everything that Corona was just going to go away and everything was going to be. Well, we're still in the same 2020, just a different 2021. Yeah. So.
Okay. Well,
you gotta have faith and just keep one day, tick it off. So.
All right. Well, thanks for joining your own podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for making time, and I definitely look forward to these.
All right. Me too. All right. Well, we'll get back with it next week or something.
For sure.
All right. Well, have a great night over there.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.